Hello there. Dr. Bill Crawford here. I'm a psychologist, a speaker, author of 4 books, host of 2 PBS specials. Here today to give you another tip on how to help you create the life you want, how to help you bring more clarity, confidence, creativity into everything you do. Today I want to talk about stress, perception, ways that we can become more influential in our lives, and it has to do with a program I heard on NPR not too long ago. Talked about a survey that was done by the Harvard School of Health. Surveyed around 2,500 people nationwide and asked them a lot of questions around stress. And one thing they said was the most stressful thing in their lives was listening to the news. Now, on some level that makes sense because the news, frankly, isn't the news. It's the fears or what we should be afraid of. What radio and TV and newspapers as well have learned a long time ago is if it bleeds, it leads. What that means is if they can show us things that we should be afraid of or we are afraid of, or engages that middle part of the brain, that limbic system that is kind of scanning the world for things that are dangerous, it captures our attention. If it captures our attention, it can sell us more soap or whatever product is kind of keeping them on the air. Now, the good news about public television, public radio, is they don't do that quite as much. However, I think it's fair to say that if we watch the news over and over and over and over, we're often told about somebody who got killed over here or some horrible thing happened over there. And now we have this 24-hour news cycle, so it's happening over and over. And one of the things that the survey talked about is how when they have a clip of something bad happening, they'll show that clip over and over and over while the narrator talks about the bad thing that's happening. So the problem is our limbic system is seeing this horrific event over and over and over, and each time it's triggering that stress-related chemical of cortisol. Not good. I suggest we take a more purposeful view on what we watch, what we feed our mind. There's a quote that I'm sending out to those 5,000 people on my quote list that says, "What we feed our mind becomes the material with which we build our lives." And I think in many ways, in building our lives, we want to have as much influence over that as possible. We want to be the architect, we want to be the contractor, and we want to be the laborer. Because we don't want some other person designing our life. We want to be the architect. We don't want someone else taking responsibility for making it happen. We want to be the contractor. And we don't want anybody else doing the work. We don't know how well they're going to be invested in doing it. We want to put that life together brick by brick, piece by piece. So I think if we take more responsibility for designing our own life versus living someone else's design, owning the contractor role so we're not depending on someone else to make our life happen, and being willing to do the work. Take on that laborer role where we are putting our life together brick by brick. Then we can look at that brick and say, okay, is this brick congruent with the life I want to create? Is it congruent with the design I have created in my life? We can watch the news or not watch the news based on whether or not it's congruent with the life we want to create. Wouldn't that be an interesting question to ask ourselves? Whenever we're reading anything or watching anything or feeding our mind in any way, we can ask that question. Is this congruent with the life I want to create? Is this congruent with the design I have designed? Is this the brick I want to put in my foundation? Because I think when we become more purposeful around those roles of architect, contractor, laborer, and when we look at the material we're using and make sure it is congruent with the life we want to create, then the building of our life becomes a process of choosing material, feeding our mind in a very purposeful way, and having that affect our life, having that be the material, the foundation on which we create our life. I hope you're finding these videos valuable, and I hope you see some measure of value in becoming more responsible, more purposeful, more able to respond in terms of how we feed our mind, in terms of the life we want to create. If so, please hit the like button. You know how Google and YouTube pay a whole lot of attention to how many people like these videos. They recommend them to others as a result of that. If you want me to come and talk with your organization, your family, you, about helping you create the life, the organization, the experience you want. I love to do that. I go around the world doing that. It's what I call getting paid to do for what I would pay to do. So if you would like me to come and talk with your group or your organization or your family about this, just go to my website, billcrawfordphd.com, hit the contact button, let me know what you're interested in, and I would love to talk with you about that. In the meantime, here's to you bringing more clarity about who you want to design your life, who you want to give responsibility for making it happen, who you want to have be the person that puts that brick in place, brick by brick, stone by stone. Take more responsibility, have more clarity about that process so that you can then bring confidence to your 3 roles and creativity. Sometimes we may choose a brick or a piece of wood and turns out it's not exactly fits. We've got to have that creativity, be able to mold that in a way that works. So again, as always, here is to you bringing more clarity, confidence, creativity to everything you do. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.